We are back. Watch the Game Sports. And for all of those that was asking me, man, when you coming back on? We are back. I'm your man, L.A. Cheatham. Watch the Game Sports. Subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Share the videos. It's that time of year, man. The most wonderful time of year is what I like to call it. We're excited about football. We here.
Yeah.
And they talking about practice. I'm so sick and tired of talking about practice, man. So
it was a long summer. It was a long summer. We ain't had nothing to talk about, so we need practice to talk about.
Yeah, football most definitely is the most popular sport in this country.
Yeah.
The popularity is growing throughout the world, I guess. But the thing about football that's different from any other sport, especially in America, the minute the teams report to training camp, everybody wants to know what's going on in practice, who's doing what. It's all news. Everybody trying to find some content to go viral with. And shout out to all of those people that go out, all those media people that go out and cover these practices and give us the content. I don't have the patience for it. A couple years back, don't get me wrong, I look forward to practice, and I haven't had the time to really go out the last few years and go to a Bears training camp or to see football practice at all. But I got an appreciation for practice. But when it comes to the game itself, practice has its place. And I think everybody's just looking for content, going viral, saying all these different things about, what's going on in practice. And at some point, I just get tired of it. And now I'm ready for some football. Also, the most interesting thing about football is we get excited about practice, training camp.
Right.
Then we get excited about the preseason, the exhibition games.
Right.
So just like we get sick of practice after about 2 weeks, after about 2 weeks of the exhibition games, we kind of like let's get this thing going.
Right.
The buzz kind of wears down and we be ready for week one kickoff. And that's where I am right now. But I cannot go on any further without talking about some of the things that people are talking about in practice, and along with you, kind of get your outlook on, first of all, the Chicago Bears, our local team. I'm in my second year suspension from the squad as far as suspending my fandom. So, I want to know how you feel. What's your expectations of the Bears 2025 season? So many new things have happened with the Bears. New coach, Ben Johnson. So Caleb Williams going through a whole situation. He got to learn a whole new playbook.
Right.
They've had some bad reports on him. And as much as I was not a big fan of drafting Caleb, I do understand he's in a tough spot. Both learning a new playbook, answering some questions from last year, and just the tough media scrutiny that he's getting from the national media and some local media. It's like the guy's in a tough spot.
Right.
Like I say, I really didn't want to draft Caleb, but I do. I want to acknowledge the fact that he's in a tough situation.
Well, yeah, what you said about practice and everybody being so content, they looking for content. NFL being king, you know how it is this time of year. Like the NBA Finals was over before June 15th, I believe, right? So I believe that's like the last, that's a major sport. Although baseball is a major sport, it just don't carry the interest like it used to. So from we got June 15th to, the start of training camp, we be starving. It's so much to the point, like, they covering OTAs now and pushing out a lot of content about OTAs, and these are involuntary workouts. You know what I mean? So it's just the nature of the beast, the time, and the day and the age that we live in now. So I'm cool with it, but I'm just like you too. Like, okay, we got them to training camp. They up at Hallis Hall. All right, now we want to see them on the field. We don't want to see them running around just helmets and the Guardian caps on and no pads or whatever. Like we need to see. We done heard a lot of talk about Ben Johnson's offense and what is Caleb gonna look like. So we want to see it for our own eyes because a lot of these practices are closed off to us. We getting these reports through our local media outlets, the ESPN 1000s, the Score 670s. I'm tired of hearing Courtney Cronin on every single show that come on ESPN 1000 from Cap and Hood in the morning to Carmen Yurko to Waddle and Sylvie, and I think they probably replay her stuff on Black and Abdallah at 6 to 8. Like, yeah, I'm over that. I'm tired of that. But the expectations, oh man, Caleb don't have any excuses anymore because we know he came into a tough situation. We know everything that came out with the quotes that came out about the book, how he was trying to, get his way to Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell and how he was trying to see if he could just not even get drafted by the Bears because this is what quarterbacks come to die. We know all that, but rightfully so because the Bears have not shown any ability to to develop any quarterback. So I'm good with that. But now you went out and got the top coach in this year's coaching cycle, which is an offensive genius, offensive guru. They saying quarterback whisperer and all that kind of stuff. So we've removed bad coaching from the list of things we can blame why Caleb is not succeeding on the field. Now we got to see it. But I would caution everybody to not think it's going to be lightning in the bottle. Don't expect him to come out there and do what Jaden Daniels did last year with Cliff Kingsbury in his first year. Jared Goff didn't look like Jared Goff in his first year under Ben Johnson. So it's steps to it. So I'm willing to give him the time to develop and see the process. But at the same time, 5 wins is unacceptable. That's unacceptable.
I think they did quite a bit to improve the roster, kind of reconstructing the offensive line. I want to say they changed at least maybe even 4 out of the 5 linemen outside of Darnell Wright. And I kind of, like I told you, I'm kind of, like I said, I'm suspended from this whole situation. So I haven't really dove into the roster changes. I know they've made a lot of changes. And I just wanted to just wait until the season starts to really focus in on certain things. I didn't want to, I'm not anticipating. I'm anticipating the NFL. Don't get me wrong. I'm really looking forward to the football season starting. But since I don't have an expectation for the Bears, this off season, I haven't really taken a real keen interest in the roster, and I just wanted to wait and see when the season started and kind of let them put their influences on me then, because like say now they talking about practice, and last year it was a whole different thing. I mean, everything was all hokey dory then.
Yeah.
And then as much as people criticize that they didn't want to keep Matt Eberflus, which is one of the reasons why I suspended my fandom. We kind of saw this coming before the season even started. We kind of knew that the Bears would have a new coach 2025. We kind of saw that writing on the wall. The Bears get off to a 4-2 start, and then people got their hopes up kind of high. You know what I mean? But the schedule was set up for them to be successful very early. Mm-hmm. And people kind of got caught up in that situation. And a lot of people like to look back on the Washington on the game when they went to Washington and lost that game and put a lot of the blame on that one game. No, it was a series of things starting from training camp. And you can't tell me that you get that far into the season and then there's one thing that breaks you down. Now, who knows? Maybe it could have, but I really doubt that. that was a process that was bound to happen. We knew that the schedule was going to get tough right around week 11 last year.
Right.
And after they went on the bye, they went out of the country. They came back after they played the Jaguars, I believe,
Right.
and they had a really good performance against the Jaguars. And then they didn't win another game until they beat the
End of the
Packers
season.
at the end of the season in a meaningless, in my opinion, a meaningless game because I mean, I guess for the Packers, the playoff contention was up in there. I don't know, but for the Bears, it was just going out on a high note. I guess winning a football game because we knew we were going to get a new coach by that time. By Thanksgiving, Matt Eberflus had been fired, and I can't even remember the coach's name that took over now.
When it
I mean, it
Thomas,
has yeah,
what Thomas
Thomas
John
Brown was it?
Brown? Yeah, yeah,
Thomas
Thomas Brown.
Brown, yeah, Coach Thomas Brown took over. They wanted to make us think he had a real shot at being no, he never had a shot. We kind of figured that they would go after Ben Johnson. So Ben Johnson is the guy. And in my opinion, I just think that the power dynamics at Hallis Hall have changed with the hiring of Ben Johnson. Now, Ryan Poles was extended. Many people wondered why. Many people think that he was extended to align him with the coach so that they can work lockstep one another. But in my opinion, this is Ben Johnson's football team.
1,000%.
I
1,000.
think this is Ben Johnson's football team. And that's why I say there's a lot of pressure on Caleb Williams. And I think we're going to find out what Caleb Williams is in the first 4 to 8 weeks. By week 10, we will know somewhat how Ben Johnson feels about Caleb Williams. I just don't. He has to play well early. I'm not going to say they have to make the playoffs, but he has to play extremely well and they have to win football games. And it's going to pretty much come down to the fundamentals. And those are the things that he's having problems with that's being reported in practice. It's pre-snap and stuff like that. But like I said, I don't want to go too far up in that. We so close up on the actual games being played. So we talked about the joint practice, I think, before we went on. The joint practice with the Dolphins coming up. They got the Dolphins coming in to Soldier Field on Sunday at noon. But on Friday, as we speak now, I believe this is Tuesday. We are a few days away from the joint practice. A lot of media and the coaches and the players are looking forward to that. And then they'll know more about this football team. A lot of additions to this roster, both through the draft and free agency. And I don't know if they made any big trades or not, but Jalen Johnson out on the defensive side. I know you're not a huge fan of Jalen Johnson. Now he goes out, he's complaining. He made some mention about his money again. Just signed a new deal, and then before the season, before camp started, he was talking about, hey, we got a new. He might have been being sarcastic. We need to go back and look at my deal. I think he was on. I can't remember what show he was on when he said that, but all of a sudden he put a lot more pressure on himself. Then he comes up, he's injured in camp, so he may miss some time. It's it's a lot to look at, a lot to consider. But like you said, it's time to win some football games.
Yeah.
The pressure is on Caleb, and I think the pressure is on Ryan Poles specifically because he did not. We were led to believe that he did not consider Jaden Daniels in the draft process prior to the 2024 NFL draft. So Jaden Daniels continue to play well. And if we don't see any improvement in Caleb Williams, that's why I said Ben Johnson has the leverage. This is Ben Johnson's team. How long will he, like now, he's saying Caleb got to get some things corrected pre-snap. how long is he going to wait for these things to happen? For these things to look good
Right.
as far as before he decides that, maybe I should move on from this guy, or maybe I want my own quarterback. And it just goes back to 2024 again. I mean, 2023. Well, 2024, March of 2024, when they decided that they were going to keep Matt Eberflus.
Right.
Now, had you hired a coach, maybe they were waiting on Ben Johnson. I don't know, but the buddy system was still at work. Buddy system was still at work. What I mean by buddy system, Trace Armstrong representing Ryan Poles, Matt Eberflus, Shane Waldron, and then Shane Waldron replaced Luke Getsy. He even represented those. It was the buddy system.
Right. Right.
Everybody was looking out for each other. So they draft Caleb, keep Matt. Now you got Caleb in the same situation that they put Mitch, Justin, and now Caleb is in. New coach, second year quarterback. Now he has to impress.
Well, I can tell you what's gonna happen because you right, you spot on when you said this is Ben Johnson's football team. Ben Johnson got the most power at Hallis Hall. I would throw in Kevin Warren in there too, because I think Kevin Warren's presence allowed a lot of business to be done differently at Hallis Hall. I don't think Kevin Warren not being in the picture, I don't think the Bears get Ben Johnson. I just don't think, because that's just not what they do historically. They go get a no-name coordinator that we ain't never heard of, pay him $4 million a year, and then hope for lightning in a bottle. So, yeah, Ben Johnson, Kevin Warren got the most power, and I wouldn't be surprised if, let's say Caleb is, let's just say she's struggling, right? Let's just say, and it's fair to point out with the Jaden Daniels thing. If Jaden Daniels comes to Chicago last year, Jaden Daniels don't look like he did last year. It's just fact.
Probably not.
He's not going to
Nope.
look like that.
He's going through the same dysfunction that Caleb went through.
Exactly. If Patrick Mahomes got drafted here instead of what's his name? Mitch Trubisky. He's not Patrick Mahomes. Like, people gotta stop doing that because we are the Bears and it's just dysfunction. It just is. But
and coaching matters. Organization and coaching matters. People got to realize that. You're right.
Right. So I would not be surprised with Ben Johnson having the most power. If Caleb doesn't show improvement to his standard week to week to week, I would not be surprised if Tyson Bagent gets some time this year. Or wait, Tyson Bagent's 3, right? Because they brought in a veteran back up.
Right now, I don't know if you've seen the interview, but it was a really productive day from a content standpoint and practice standpoint in Hallis Hall. They asked some really good questions after the practice. They asked Ben Johnson about Tyson Bagent. And I sent that to you. I don't know if you watched that at that press conference, but I think it's about 10 minutes long. Right around towards the end, they asked him 2 really good questions. They asked him about Tyreek Stevenson, and they asked him about Tyson Bagent. He said that Tyreek Stevenson has a lot to prove, and the kind of the most interesting thing is he said he has a tendency to talk too much, and I found that interesting. Because my defensive player, I might not mind him talking as much, especially at that position of cornerback. I don't know what advantages you have to have on the field when you're going one-on-one. Maybe that's just part of his game.
That's part of his game. Yeah, that's part of it.
If you're not saying anything to warrant flags, and if you're just trying to get into your opponent's head, I get that. So that was an interesting comment by Ben Johnson. He had a tendency to talk too much. But when you talk about Tyson Bagent, he was speaking very highly of Tyson Bagent. He made it seem as if Tyson Bagent was prepared and always ready to go, and just He spoke very highly of him really, really quick. And the thing that brought me there was, we always get this coverage on how Caleb Williams is doing. How Caleb Williams is doing. For the most part, when these people go out and they cover these football practices, they, especially with the Bears, they all they want to talk about is the quarterback, the quarterback, the quarterback, the quarterback. And then when they get tired of talking about the quarterback, they want to talk about the defensive line. Montez Sweat. You know what I mean? Then they want to talk about some defense, and then they may get around to
The
talking about the
defensive line,
defense
what
as
is
a
their
whole.
job? Their job is
Yeah,
to go get the quarterback. So it's
yeah,
still kind of interrelated. Yeah.
yeah. But it takes them a while to get that far.
Yeah.
Most of the talk is about the quarterback, and this is why I don't really want to hear it anymore, because being that I've had the opportunity to be blessed to coach myself, I would like to be at some of them practices so I can see for myself, because I don't want to just hear about Caleb Williams. I want to see, if you got three quarterbacks, I want to see all three reps. I want to see all three of the guys getting the reps. And I want to draw my own conclusion. So the only way we can do that now is by watching the games.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
And like I said, Ben Johnson spoke kind of highly of Tyson Bagent today. And now that leads me into the games that we're about to see coming up. First and foremost, let me touch on the fact that we did have one football game already, the Hall of Fame football game.
Wait, before you get off Tyson though, before you get off Tyson Bagent though, remember
Yeah.
last year they was hesitant to sit Caleb down. Like, let's just let him learn, even though he probably could benefit from, watch, he's taking a lot of sacks. We not going nowhere anywhere. They was
Mm-hmm.
hesitant to do it. This
Yep.
year, I don't believe that would be the case. And even going forward, I wouldn't be surprised if Caleb isn't meeting Ben's expectations. We could see a Sean McVay situation. Remember, Sean McVay traded Jared Goff
Yeah.
to go get Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
This is my football team, so like I can see, especially why Caleb's value is still high. He will only be in like his third year. It's gonna be a team out there be like, we can fix him. We'll give up the farm for him. We'll trade a veteran quarterback. I can't think no vet quarterback right now that's in the position like, they ain't going nowhere. Been there a long time like Stafford, but I can totally see that happening with Ben having most of the power.
Now, that's one way of looking at it. But I like to look at it like, okay, so Caleb's in the same situation Bryce Young was in last year. Second year,
Right.
first pick overall. And what happened last year in Carolina, I don't know the coach's name in Carolina, but after
Malice,
the first
yeah.
after the first 3 or 4 games, he benched Bryce Young
Yep.
in place of Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton, I think he won a game, and then he got injured maybe a week or two later, and then he brought Bryce Young back.
Like 3 games, yeah.
Yeah, and when he brought Bryce Young back, Bryce Young improved and got better as the season, down towards the end of the season. Now, that's a scenario that I can also see with Caleb. So I'm glad you brought your scenario up, because I wanted to bring that up. That was two totally different scenarios. One of them where Caleb can sit and possibly come back,
Yeah.
after standing on the sideline and watching someone else do it, regardless if it's Tyson Bagent or Case Keenum, sitting back watching the veteran get it done. Maybe the game can slow down for him. He can carry the clipboard, game slow down for him. He come out, do a little bit better towards the end of the season and stake his claim on being the franchise quarterback. That's a possibility. Okay. But you talking about a whole totally different scenario. And talk about the national media. Colin Cowherd has already barked up that tree.
Oh, I don't
You
be
know what I
watching.
mean?
Yeah.
Well,
He's
I
in
listen to
Chicago.
him.
Yeah,
It's
he's in
very
Chicago,
entertaining.
but
He's very entertaining.
But he's not on top of the post, especially for him to be in Chicago now. He's not
Yeah,
on top of the post. He's not.
I understand that, and I understand that, and you respond like Most Bear fans will, and I understand that. But I understand what Caleb. I understand what Colin Curry. He's trying. He's going viral. He's trying to reach. He's trying to get the headline. He's trying to stir it up. That's his job, and that's what I'm saying. The pressure's on Caleb to do well because I'm gonna tell you something. Colin Cowherd has been right about a few things. He's been wrong about a lot of things, and it's week to week with him.
Right.
All they're reporting is the bad. He want to talk about the Caleb Williams situation, struggling in practice, and then they talk about even your boy JJ McCarthy struggling in Minnesota. So it's all viral. Everybody's trying to go viral. With me, I want to watch the game. Just point blank period, and we can come to draw our own conclusions. You know what I mean?
Right.
But those are some interesting scenarios that we both brought up. Um, I wonder if they'll have the guts to pull Caleb, how early will they be willing to do it? Because I'm not a big fan of everybody struggling because one guy can't get his job done. That's 53-man roster, 46 guys dressed on game day. You can't put everybody, you can't put everybody's fate in one guy's hand. And that's pretty much what happens throughout the NFL. Now, this is the second reset for the Bears. They've been resetting that roster and they've been resetting this franchise forever, seems like. Forever. I mean, when the Bears have won, it has not been because we had a great quarterback. It's because the defense was good and we had serviceable quarterbacks. And
And
at this point, that's not good enough anymore
yeah.
for Bears fans and Bears media.
I mean, hey, you hit the nail on the head. Then I mean, it reminds me of when Al Orton was 10-3. Remember that? And it wasn't sexy to win 13-10. We had to get Rex Grossman in there to throw the deep ball, and I think Moose Mohammed called for that quarterback change, but they was winning. They was winning, but it wasn't sexy enough. It wasn't, the ratings wasn't high enough winning like that. So you know how it go in Chicago.
And the crazy part about it is that's why I have so much respect for franchises like San Francisco and Philadelphia, because Kyle Shanahan, he runs his system. If you can run my system, you can play quarterback for me and for him rather. And in Philadelphia, they have proven that they'll quickly jump off of a guy. I mean, they had Carson Wentz. They had just signed him to a big deal. The next year, Jalen Hurts was their quarterback. And you have to be able to move off of these situations early. And this is what I'm saying. Caleb Williams is a very talented young man, very good college quarterback. And people are tripping about the viral video that went when he was throwing balls at the target and he was throwing the temper tantrum.
Yeah.
But my thing is this: don't put it on tape. Don't put it on tape. You know he's been around the game long enough, played in the LA market at USC. He already know that people are looking for something. Even when you're on the practice field, you have to be composed because there's a lot of eyes watching it. Number one, your coach. Number two, whoever. Your quarterback coach, the media, anybody. So just don't put those actions on tape. So you got to stay composed and ready to compete at all times. Because the people that's looking for something, they're going to find it. And they found it with that. And they went viral with it big time. And I'm telling you, I'm not, I'm not a big, I didn't want Caleb, but I got to be transparent and honest with this situation. They're looking to go viral. Caleb has to prove himself to me. He had to prove himself to Ben Johnson, and that's just the way it is. Now, the game is Sunday. We can get ready to wind down a little bit. The game is Sunday. We had a Hall of Fame game. Chargers, Lions. Lions went out without Jared Goff. The number ones were not playing. They looked very sloppy. had 5 turnovers. I think they had 2 fumbles and 3 picks. Like I say, Jared Goff did not play in that game. Um, I forget who started that game. I think Ryan, the quarterback's name that started the game, but Hendon Hooker finished the game, and I think he even threw a pick in that game. The most
That's
interesting thing about that game is it was Trey Lance playing for the Chargers, looking pretty good for Jim Harbaugh, the coach I wanted to be in Chicago. And I paid attention to how he was on the sideline. You know how you take his quarterback? Can you hear me?
yeah, I got
Okay, I got some things jumping off. Hold on. Hold on one sec. We doing it live. Hold on.
you. He keep talking about Jim Harbaugh being the coach of the Chicago Bears. Listen, I'm a Michigan Wolverine fan. Y'all know that. I just don't think Jim Harbaugh was
All
going to
right.
be the answer here in
So
Chicago. They would have ran him up out of town just because of the way
yeah,
he coaches. The style of game that Jim Harbaugh coaches is not with the Chicago media and the
that's
sports
not what they
network.
want.
That's not what they want. That's not what they want.
But to develop a young quarterback, I don't care who he is. I think that's what you need. This is what I mean when I say this. I watched the pregame where they were, the whole NBC thing was doing the introduction. They pan over to Jim Harbaugh and he's talking to Trey Lance, and he's doing that, patting him
Yeah,
on the shoulder pads like he used to do JJ. And I don't know how long he's been doing it for his quarterbacks. But my thing is, how can you not want to play well in them situations? And one thing Jim Harbaugh is going to do, he's going to surround you with a running game. And Trey Lance looked okay. He made some pretty good plays in the Hall of Fame game. I'm looking forward to seeing him later on in some of these other Hall of Fame games. I mean, not Hall of Fame games, but exhibition football games. They got 4 games left. I'm pretty sure he's going to get a lot more reps, and he's going to be one of the guys as far as exhibition football season. I'm going to look at him, and I want to see how he improves because he's not the starter, but he's getting a real opportunity to play football, and we can kind of see how he develops under Harbaugh. That was one of the most interesting things about the Hall of Fame game. That and Hendon Hooker, I always took a special liking to Hendon Hooker. Remember, the year Caleb Williams won Heisman, Hendon Hooker was probably the lead guy going into the Alabama game. And I can't remember if they lost to Alabama, but I know it was a ton of points scored in that game. Bryce Young being the incumbent Heisman Trophy winner, and Hendon Hooker being the favorite when Tennessee went up against Alabama, the big time prime time football game in SEC. A lot of points were scored. Hendon Hooker looked really good. And I think about a week or two later, he blew his knee
yeah.
out against South Carolina.
Remember, I was saying Caleb won that Heisman by default because everybody got hurt. They wasn't gonna give it to Bryce again. Hendon
No, they
got
didn't
hurt.
want to. Yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I think Blake Corn was in that running for it that year, and he got hurt at the end of the year versus Illinois. He banged up his knee. Like a lot of the front runners got hurt, and it fell to Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
USC was not in contention for the national
Nope.
championship or anything. So let's be real. That
Yeah.
Heisman Trophy got it's just got
Maybe
an
an
asterisk.
asterisk by it. But he
Yeah,
is his now.
yeah,
But you have to be a real college football fan, or casually at least, to know what was going on at that time. Because we kind of knew they didn't want to give it to Bryce again.
right.
And Hendon Hooker was one of the top guys, in the running for the
He
Heisman
was
that
rolling.
season.
Yeah, they was rolling.
Um, yeah, so now we're gonna go into the Dolphins playing the Bears preseason at Soldier Field. We talk about expectations for the game. I want to see how much the ones play
That's
with
what I was
Ben
saying.
Johnson being the new head coach and so many new coaches. I think Coach Hightower I forget Coach Hightower's first name. The
Richard
the
Hightower,
special
I
teams
think is his
coach.
name.
Yeah,
He's
Richard.
somebody big
Yeah, yeah.
skyscraper on radio.
They've been butchering this. They've been butchering his name all week. Just being funny. But he was the only. He's one of the few coaches that returned. He's a special team coach. Another coach that I really like that the Bears got, and I watched this dude when he was in high school playing basketball at
Randall.
Thornton High School, man. Antoine Randall, he's the wide receivers coach, and I think he's the top assistant to
Yeah,
Ben Johnson.
yeah.
Also, the Ohio State, uh, what was his name? You know him. One of the
Oh,
who was the yeah, it was the Ohio State quarterback.
oh, JT
Who was
Barrett.
JT Barrett
He
is
didn't
the
get that first
quarterback
name.
coach. Yeah, JT JT Barrett is the quarterback coach for the Bears, along with Dennis Allen being the offensive coordinator. So a lot of good things happened on the coaching staff. Luther Burden, one of the top wide receivers they picked up in the draft. Um, a lot we gonna be able to see in the next few weeks. The development of the roster, the bottom of the roster. But going into week one, I want to see how much the number ones are going to play in this game against Miami. Because they're saying if they have a really good joint practice, then you may, if that goes well, you may not see many ones participating in the first exhibition game. Now I want to send a shout out to my man Phil Latoshin because he's on the Tape Never Lies network, and he said that he would like to see the starters play 4 quarters in the entire exhibition season. There will be one season, one quarter on week one, 2 quarters on week two, and then another 1 quarter on that final exhibition game. I don't
Oh,
think we're gonna
fire.
see that,
Yeah,
but
it's
I
like
would agree with that. I would like to see that with the new coaching staff and so many new things, being up at Hallis Hall, just getting the operation up and going. So I don't know what your expectations are. If you can, for this preseason game.
yeah, I'm with you. If the ones have a productive practice, with the joint practice on Friday, I'm okay with them not playing because I think that just the injury risk is too great. You know what I mean? If one of your key weapons or something go down, that compromises what your philosophy is going into the beginning of the season and maybe the whole season, depending on the length of the injury. So I would just err on the side of caution. But you do got to get these guys ready to play football, and you get better about playing football, right? So I'm okay with them
Yeah,
doing that at practice. Let's have the guys out there that's trying to make the team. Let's give them ample time to get tape out there because they got to make cuts. So I'm
hmm
cool with that. But the
yeah,
ones I wouldn't even have the ones out there. And even with the ones going against the ones in practice, they still gonna police that thing heavy. If it gets too heavy,
yeah.
they blow the whistle. You know what I mean? So I'm okay with that.
Well,
Oh,
I don't think you can sack the quarterback in in the scrimmages.
right?
So
Yeah. I mean,
that's one of the reasons why you want to see the first string guys go at least one series or 1 quarter, so that they can get real game speed situations, and come week one of the season, you won't be too sloppy. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I'm across the board on that. Like, I don't want to see Cole Kmet or Colston Loveland or
Mhm.
Tyreek, anybody. I don't want
Yeah,
across any team across the league. I want everybody to hit week one as healthy as they can be because it's just a better product when we got everybody out on the field, and then we'll let attrition and the war of the games take place after that. But let's get to
yeah,
week one where everybody is healthy as we can be.
yeah. And I think exhibition season, these 3 exhibition games, they're bigger for Ben Johnson, his coaching staff. They're bigger for him than they are for the first string guy because for their coaching staff, they got to get on the same page with a brand new head coach. I think Dennis Allen. I would like to think that Ben Johnson is leaning on Dennis Allen's expertise as far as their head coaching position.
He
You
been
know,
good.
coming from New Orleans. Well, what I'm saying is the game day operations
Oh
of
yeah, yeah.
communicating things and stuff like that. I know damn well he ain't gonna touch Ben Johnson's offensive playbook. I'm just saying, I'm just saying the operation of game day scenarios, pre-game, post-game, stuff like that. I think he's gonna lean on Dennis Allen for a lot of those things, and I think that's one of the biggest pluses for having Dennis Allen on board. I'm not gonna say he gonna take over, and I'm just saying I think he's gonna be a really good reference point for Ben Johnson, being that this is his first opportunity to be the head coach in this situation. So these exhibition games, I think, gonna be big for Ben Johnson, the rest of the coaching staff. It's gonna be interesting to see. Um, you cannot deny that coming out of these practice sessions with all this scrutiny about this drill and that drill and these temper tantrums, people are going to be watching really, really close to one, how much Caleb Williams plays, and then they're going to be paying a lot of attention to Tyson Bagent. I just think that that's what's about to happen. Maybe after that, you want to look at how the defensive line is shaping up. But there you have it. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the games, and then maybe a week from now we can talk about this game in particular against the Dolphins. But that's pretty much it. Now, last but not least, we talked about the Hall of Fame game, and I wanted to touch on this, and then I can ask you about um some other teams around the league that you might be more interested, that you might take a little bit more interest in. There's so much going on in the NFL. The NFL, the thing I like about the NFL is they make all of their headlines outside of Dallas. Outside of Dallas. And this year, maybe Cincinnati. But they make most of their headlines on the practice field and on game day in the action. But unlike the NBA, they make a lot of their news off the court and in the off season. The NFL is a lot more. It's a lot different. They provide the content from the games. The games provide all the action, and it produces most of the storylines for us to cipher and go through. But what you got, man? Because man, hold on. This is what I want to point out. The Hall of Fame game they just had, right?
Yeah.
So we cannot go on without talking about the actual Hall of Famers that went in. And it was Jared Allen,
Yep.
um,
Sterling Sharp.
Sterling Sharp, Antonio Gates, and Eric Allen. Two of the most two of the most interesting stories is of course Sterling Sharp only playing 7 seasons, coming from a small town in Georgia, along with his little brother, uh, Shannon Sharp. Two of the only two brothers in the NFL Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't go on and go off tonight without mentioning that. And another of the most interesting stories is Antonio Gates, a hooper,
Didn't play
never
no college
played
football.
college football. Okay, and he's an NFL Hall of Famer before his quarterback, Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, yeah.
And Phillip Rivers, I guess he'll be up for next season, so we'll see how that goes. But I wanted to make sure I made mention of those guys. Jared Allen played for the Bears at least 1 year.
Yeah.
And Eric Allen, phenomenal cornerback,
Yeah.
played for Philadelphia. I think he finished up in Oakland or with the Raiders. I don't know where the hell the Raiders was. Los Angeles, Oakland, they all over the place. But Eric Allen.
Didn't he play under Buddy Ryan in Philly?
Yeah, he was drafted by Buddy Ryan to the Eagles. He played with Reggie White.
Okay,
when Reggie White was in there, and but I think he finished Yeah, I think he finished his career with the Raiders. Now I don't
Okay.
know if the Raiders was in Los Angeles or Oakland.
They was the
I
Raiders
don't,
though. We
they
know
was the
that.
Raiders. Yeah.
They
So,
was the
but
Raiders.
I had to mention those guys. They went into Hall of Fame and talked a little bit about the Hall of Fame game. Looking forward to the Dolphins and Bears matching up at Soldier Field on Sunday. Going to see how much these number ones play. But outside of that, what are some of the most interesting stories around the league that you may take a little interest in?
You
Maybe a
you brought,
couple.
you brought up Dallas. That's not even a story to me. When you look at historically how Jerry has handled his play, he pay it. He always pay him.
Yeah,
The
eventually, and he
only
usually pay them too much.
right, the only one I can remember ever missing some time was Emmett. Emmett missed the first two games of the season. Cowboys started 0-2. Then Jerry's like, okay, I got to write this check. But
Hmm.
he did that, like I said, he did that with Emmett. More recently, he did it with Zeke. After Zeke, he did it with Dak twice. He
Hmm.
just did it with CD last year. He's
Hmm.
doing it with Micah now.
Yeah,
Any of them players that I named, did they ever
yeah,
leave the Cowboys?
yeah.
No, they didn't.
So, in
What's over
hindsight, don't get your hopes up high, Bear fans. It's probably highly unlikely that we'll be trading for Michael Parsons. This is all Cowboys
it's
being the Cowboys. Jerry Jones running the show.
the only one that I remember leaving was DeMarco Murray after he led the league in rushing, and then they franchised him. Then he went to Tennessee, and I think it was over with
Yeah,
for him after that. That's
yeah.
it.
Okay.
So yeah.
You,
Outside of that, I got my eye on. I think the Cleveland Browns, they trying to be the Bears or something. I don't know what they got going on. When I saw that Shador was fourth on the depth chart,
now, now, slow down. How many? Because they just signed. I think they just
Clemson,
signed Tyler Huntley as well. So
yeah,
that gives them maybe what, 5 quarterbacks?
five,
And
five.
we just got word, so we'll be looking forward to this too. That Shador will be starting in the first exhibition game. I think we just heard that just recently, so I'm looking forward to that game as well. Everybody want to see what Shador does
It's
in the
either a
preseason
smoke screen.
exhibition.
They either putting up a hell of a smoke screen, or they really don't know what the hell they're doing. And I can't
Well, well,
believe
well,
Stefanski,
this
the coach,
this is
should
the
be
great
fired.
this is the great thing about the NFL. You go out on the field. Okay, we know Shador went in the fifth round, and we could probably argue. We know he wasn't a fifth round quarterback.
Right.
I don't think it was a. I don't think he was a top. I don't think he was a first round. I don't think he was a first round quarterback either. But I know he wasn't a fifth round quarterback. Okay,
Okay, we
I
can agree
think
that he
all
was
of the
somewhere in
quarterbacks
there.
in the
Yeah.
draft were reaches. All of them were reaches. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
and to my knowledge, that kind of includes Cam Ward. But the quarterbacks, they always going to reach for a quarterback. Tennessee picked up Cam Ward, and several teams passed up on Shador, and it was shocking to most that he went in the fifth round to Cleveland. And then you look at the clutter, how many quarterbacks they actually have in Cleveland. But this is the great thing about the NFL. Shador goes out there and plays well. He cannot be denied. That's the great thing about the NFL. The tape, he will put the tape out. And
Don't
and
give me
and
tonight.
he cannot be denied. So I'm glad that if they're going to start him, let us see Shador early, because most of the time they take those bottom tier quarterbacks and they place them down towards the end of the roster, and they don't get a shot until like late in the exhibition season when their fate has already been determined. So if Shador goes out there on the first exhibition game and put down some good tape, who else did they pick up? The kid out of Oregon,
Okay, so they got Flacco. They got Dylan Gabriel. That's the one out of
Dylan
Oregon.
Gabriel.
They
Yeah,
Kenny Pickett, Shador, and Tyler Huntley that they just signed. That's the
yeah.
five.
So it's gonna be something just to get. I don't think Flacco is gonna play much in the exhibition games.
No, Flacco's the one. We know they're going in
We
for
didn't
Flacco.
even we didn't even consider Deshaun Watson. We didn't even say his name.
Oh no, Freaky Deshaun is
But
gone. He's gone.
so is he off the team? He's still on their roster though, right?
He's
He's just
still on the
dealing with an
roster.
injury.
He's still on the roster. That contract is guaranteed. He's still being paid,
Yeah, he's just
but
dealing with an injury.
he's not going to play. He's not.
Well, I know he's not gonna play. I'm
Yeah,
just saying he's still on the roster. He's
yeah.
still with the
So they got
Browns.
6
He just
quarterbacks.
got to get through this injury. Yeah. So it's just a clutter in Cleveland. That's gonna be a really interesting story. Um, me, I'm interested in Pittsburgh. They waited on Aaron Rodgers. I'm
I hope
interested
he
in
does good.
Pittsburgh. I mean, my hate for Aaron Rodgers has died down.
I never
I
hated him,
mean,
to be honest with you. I never hate best thrower of football.
I don't even know. I don't even. I know I definitely didn't like him. I don't know if hate is a strong word, but I know I definitely didn't like him.
Was that because he played for the Packers, or you just didn't
Yeah,
like
that's
his
because he played for
character?
the Packers, and
Yeah.
but I'm gonna keep a look at the Pittsburgh situation and Minnesota situation. This is the reason why. So Minnesota wins 14 games last year.
No, I think it was 13 because they lost the last 2. They lost to Detroit for the division, and then they lost to the Rams in the playoff.
Okay, so this is what I'm getting to. You let Sam Darnold go. You already drafted JJ McCarthy. So
Yeah.
we decide they're gonna keep JJ. They're gonna give JJ his opportunity to start. Now you let Sam Darnold go. I think Aaron Rodgers really wanted to go to Minnesota. So if you're gonna let Sam Darnold go, bringing Aaron Rodgers in wouldn't exactly be a bad move. But you decided you didn't want Aaron. I think Aaron wanted the Vikings. So JJ McCarthy is the quarterback in Minnesota. Me,
Mhm.
myself personally, I would have brought in a stronger bridge to try and give him an opportunity to just sit back, maybe couple, but everybody considers them a Super Bowl team based on the roster.
That's
So
the
you're
I
really
think
putting a lot of pressure on him to play well really early. He's in a
yeah,
I think he's in a. I don't know if he's in a worse situation than Caleb Williams because he's technically going to still be a rookie. But as far from a team aspect and roster construction, they've been construction to win. They've been constructed to win. So we're just going to see very interesting situation. Didn't didn't sign Aaron. Aaron ends up in Pittsburgh. Okay. Then
right.
my nephew Justin, he's in New York. Okay, he's the Jets. And just NFL doing their thing. They making all their storylines on the field. So the Jets and the Steelers play week 1. They're getting us ready, man. They're getting us ready. But those are some interesting stories, man. It's gonna be I'm interested in those scenarios. You talked about Dallas. I'm interested in what's going on in Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers, in Minnesota with JJ McCarthy, and then
The
got to
Jets.
keep an eye on my nephew with the
Yeah,
Jets. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, like you said, it's the best time of the year from 11 a.m. to about 11 p.m. on Sunday. We got it sold up. I just need to
Yeah.
make sure I got me a brick house oven pizza. You know what I'm saying? Got me something
Yeah.
brown, so I ain't got to get up and
Hmm.
go out. And you know what time? And I'm a big college football guy too, so it's
Yeah.
the same thing on Saturday, 11:11. So best time of the year. I'm gonna be following them storylines. I also want to see what Pete Carroll is going to do with the Raiders and Geno coming over there. I'm
Yeah.
interested to see did Sam Darnold just catch lightning in the bottle last year, and is he gonna go out to Seattle and not and look like Sam Darnold again? Because we saw him
I
look
think
like
he's
Sam
gonna take a
Darnold.
step back because I think coaching matters.
Yeah, yeah.
He did show that he had the ability to do some things, but he's going to a defensive coach. And I think coaching matters. Now that you bring that up, I want to speak on Sean O'Connell. He's known to be a
Kevin
really
O'Connell.
really good, huh?
You talking about Minnesota coach
Yeah, what's
Kevin
his
O'Connell?
Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah,
Kevin O'Connell. Thanks for correcting me. But he's gonna have to be able to figure out how to run the football. And with Sam Darnold going to Seattle, he's going to be put in a situation where I don't think they're going to put as much pressure on him as O'Connell put on him to make plays with his arm. I think they're going to lean more on the running game, and I think that's going to favor Sam Darnold. So I don't think he's going to throw as many touchdowns, but I won't be surprised if they win. I'm not going to say they're a playoff team, but I can see him playing okay, being a good bridge quarterback, for a year or two in Seattle. I mean, but because I just don't think they're gonna put as much pressure on him to win with his arm in Seattle as they did in Minnesota last year. Because last year down the stretch they asked him to do it with his arm, and I really don't think he's that good. I mean, he has some really good weapons to throw the ball to, but
Addison,
yeah,
JJ,
yeah,
arguably the best receiver in the league. So,
yeah, but
and
they
then
but they
what was
couldn't
the
run
second
the
one
damn
they had?
football.
Hawkinson.
Yeah,
Like, he
so
had he had a brick.
yeah, so interesting, man. We gonna get ready. It's that time of year, man. Wonderful time of the year. Football season about to get going. And shout out to my man Will Bates. I was texting Will today and looking forward to having him on.
Yeah.
And sometime down the road, we got a big fight coming up. So we can get my man Cutter, my cuz B.O.B., and we could talk somewhere down the road in the next few weeks. We can talk Bud Crawford
And Canelo.
and Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching the game tonight. Subscribe and share. We'll see you after the games next week.
We out of here.